Okay, I'm going to call to order the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for today, July 17th, 2023. Can we have the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Sergio, can I have roll call, please?
Bob Rolson,
Here.
Yolanda Cardona,
Here.
Drago Popovic,
Here.
Brendan Sheeran,
Here.
Mark LaRue is not here today, Attorney Adam Decker,
Here.
Councilman Liaison Brian Blazak,
Present.
and Town Manager Joe Wizawati is not here today.
Okay, the next thing in the agenda is the May 15, 2023 Board of Zoning Appeals regular meeting minutes. We need to move to approve those, Sergio?
Yes.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the May 15, 2023 Board of Zoning Appeals regular meeting minutes, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the May 15, 2023 Board of Zoning Appeals minutes.
Okay, I have a motion made by Brendan to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion carries. Now we have another,
We didn't do a vote.
oh, I'm sorry. Can we go ahead and vote on that, please? Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
I'm going to recuse myself for May 15th. I wasn't attending it that day.
Okay. Motion carries. And now we have the June 19th, 2023 Board of Zoning Appeals regular meeting minutes to approve. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve June 19th, 2023 zoning appeal regular meeting minutes.
I have a motion to approve the June 19th, 2023 meeting minutes made by Bob. Do I have a second?
Second.
Everybody in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Motion carries. We're going to move on to item A, 2023-11 use variance. Oh, I'm sorry. That's okay, deferral.
I think you've got to say something.
We'll tell them which ones are deferred, so they know.
No, yeah, but, okay. Sergio, did you say I could do all of them together, all the
So you
deferrals?
have, under item 5, you have 4 agenda items before you for public hearing. There is a request, or the request is that item A, 5A, 2023 11 be deferred, item C, 2023-13 be deferred, and item 2023-14 be deferred. There was deferred due to meeting public hearing notice requirements, and so they would be heard next month. They would re-advertise and be available for next month.
They did not meet those requirements?
Correct.
Okay.
The notice of the public hearing requirements?
Yes.
Okay, and do we have a date in August in which the public hearing for those items will be held?
It would be the third Monday, I'll tell you 1 minute, when the next scheduled meeting is the August 21st.
Yep.
Okay. Do I have a motion to defer items 5A, 5C, and 5D at this time?
Make a motion to defer 5A, 5C, and 5D.
I have a motion made by
Drago.
Drago. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Bob. Everybody that is in favor of that, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Motion carries to defer. Okay, next item on the agenda is item B, 2023-12 special exemption from St. John Municipal Code 24262 et sec, St. John Municipal Code 2445 to operate a small-scale grain milling processing facility at 9601 Industrial Drive, Suite A, St. John. Applicant owner, Mr. Wesley Austin. Is he here with us today? Hello. Hello, sir. Good evening. Do you mind coming to the podium, please?
Also have the receipts that you guys requested. Take those out.
Sir, if you can please just state your address and then just tell us a little bit about what you're seeking here today.
Sure. The facility that we rented mainly as storage since the beginning of the year is 9601 Industrial Drive, Suite A. I'm renting it from MB Ventures. The facility itself is going to be technically considered a nano distillery. We're going to do some of our own organic grain milling, which is only going to be done in 200 to 400 pound per weekend batches. We have experience in doing this work. We understand the process of what we're going to do, and we understand that we're not going to create a hazard to the neighborhood in the industrial park or the surrounding areas or anything like that. So anything that has to do with debris, the runoff of the shelling, after we're already finished with our use, is going to be transported for feed to a local farmer, which is the best way to get rid of that stuff, instead of going down into the sewer systems, which I know is a concern to a degree. We've got, all of our plans in place for that.
Any questions for the applicant?
So your waste and runoff, you truck out?
Yes. Ideally, I want the farmer to pick it up, but if not, I've got a box truck.
Is there any kind of a monitor, is there any monitoring system with, I mean, how is that?
What kind of monitoring would you be
Well, I was
looking
just-
for?
I mean, we're just,
How are we going to know that you're doing that?
do you have any kind of, is there any type of state reporting or any type of reporting with that?
There's not a standard for reporting, no.
Just telling us you're doing it, and we're just gonna assume you're doing it?
Correct. Well, having said that, Sailor Plumbing's our plumber. They've already gotten a permit to kind of get started Thursday, Friday this week, assuming there's no issues here. But we have a separator being installed. So there's going to be a system for taking up any kind of solids that are going into the sewer system. Primarily what's going to happen is we're going to wash out the mash tun and the still, and it's going to go into collection bins that we're then going to use. They're palatable collection bins. So we're going to take those and distribute them at farmers. The washout itself of the still and the mash tun, which again are only 200-gallon structures, that might have some residual debris, but it's going to get caught by the separator, which again we're installing for, due to public requirements here at St. John.
So you said you're processing 200 to 400 pounds per week of
Yes.
grains. Then how many gallons of liquor are you making per week?
Realistically, our goal is to do 1 30-gallon barrel a week.
130 gallon.
That would be ideal. It might actually end up being only every other week, depending on funding, our own funds. We're self-funding this thing. Aging's 2 years. After 2 years, we'll be able to go through distribution, through, a distributor to hopefully focus on local restaurants, liquor stores, bars. We have a
You're
very,
strictly distributing, there's no.
just
plumbing,
distributing, no
things
people,
like that,
correct.
there's no-
You said 1 30-gallon barrel a week?
Yep.
Okay. And then you're not having, like, the people or public come in at all, nothing like that? It's
Correct.
just strictly
Correct.
sort of manufacturing per se?
Yep. After
that
2
the-
years, we'll probably revisit this because after 2 years, we'll start to potentially have a little bit of a storage problem with barrels. But after 2 years of aging, we'll be able to start bottling and selling through distributorships. So then I'll worry about, renting more space just for storage itself.
The 30-gallon barrel a week, is that the low end or is that?
That's the high end.
That's the high end?
Yeah.
Processing the grains, dust is,
Very minimal. I mean, there is some dust, but we are very good about cleaning up ourselves, and it's a lot. The mill you see here is actually set up on a roller set, so we can actually move it. Generally, on a dry day, we're doing that just outside the overhead door of the garage. So when we're doing that, we clean up. We have pressure washers and everything, obviously brooms. We're not going to have a mess that gets very far, and then we clean up after.
so this grain comes in bags, 100-pound bags, or?
Yeah, I'm also going to be bringing in 1,500-pound totes too. But right now, 100-pound bags has been one of the primary things. It'll still be a mix of those bags and totes.
And you said 400 pounds per week?
At most.
Yeah, at most. Well, okay, so that's pretty, seems pretty low.
Is it a complicated process?
Depends on who you ask. To be fair, it's a difficult process for the most part because every system that you use in distilling is different and has different purposes. Our style is a bain-marie, which is a tank within a tank style system. We do that because it's a pot still, and the way we produce our product, we use a lot of organic grains, not because we're trying to be green, but because we're chasing flavor. And what I try to explain to people is our product is very different. Anybody who's tasted any of our test batches or anything after a year aging has come away not being able to explain what they compare it to. Because the reality is, just like a green grape will give you a white wine, a red grape will give you a red wine. Something also happens when you have a red corn or a purple corn or a multicolored corn like Glass Gem. Very different flavors. So we've been able to mimic things like chocolate, coffee, jalapenos, fruit, all these things, but natural, no additives. It's all just natural from the grains. And that's what we've been chasing for 4 years. Now we're ready to start really doing it.
And what is the end product normally it's used for?
So our 51% corn is a requirement for bourbon. And 2 years straight means 2 years, that's really our ultimate goal. Some people argue that some American whiskeys, which bourbon falls under, on smaller craft distillers can start to being serviceable at 9 months to a year, but we're not going to let anything out until we're actually happy with it. So we're planning on not making money until we get the place we want to be.
Is the end result bourbon?
Most of what we make is bourbon,
Okay.
yes. There's a few things that we have much more complicated recipes in that would actually be just classified as a whiskey, which everything falls under the guise of whiskey. But again, we're chasing flavors that I want to have something that everybody actually has an interest in, a palate for. Not everybody loves bourbon, but the stuff that we're able to make, I think we can find something that everybody will like. And so I kind of want to be, so to speak, kind of like the Willy Wonka of bourbons.
So you're going to offer more flavors?
Yes.
Okay. That's
Naturally
what it sounded
occurring
like.
flavors, yes.
Are there any hazards associated with the still that you're using?
Technically, there's the fact that, alcohol's flammable. There's that. We have 4 years' experience in doing this, using the same styles, stills and everything that we use.
And what kind of still did you say you were using, a pot still?
A pot still bain-marie style, yep. So it's jacketed, so it's water. It's actually heated by elements. It's all internal into the thing, so there's no outward fires or flames. It's just a matter of maintaining pressures and watching what we're doing. There's pressure relief valves on all of our equipment as well. So, unless we were really, really bad at what we do, there shouldn't be any kind of concerns as far as safety goes. Also, for my day job, I run Stevenson Crane. I run the sales for it. We're a $127 million a year company, and I deal with all the safety concerns that my salespeople and safety has to go through with construction. Just from that perspective, I'm not naive to the fact that there's a lot of concerns that we always have to be aware of. As far as this goes, though, most of the time when you have issues with people not having their systems together and having potential for issues, it's because they don't know what they're doing. They haven't run the equipment before. Unfortunately, with a lot of distilleries, because distilling outside of the umbrella of, let's say, another distiller, or not going to a specific school, which there's only a handful in the United States or outside of the country, there's no real way to actually learn how to distill. So you do get in that situation where a lot of distillers that go out there and do their startups don't have any experience, don't know what they're doing, and then have these potentials for issues. That's not us. We have 4 years of consistent, every week distilling exposure. And we've done a lot of different things. We've worked on different stills, working under people like Thornton's Distillery over in Thornton, Illinois, and other groups that we've worked with. So we've got a lot of good experience under our belt.
What kind of safety protocols do you have for your system?
As far as safety protocols, you're going to start with pressure valves. That's your number one thing. You want to make sure that you're not, through cooling or heating, creating any kind of pressure that can't find a release. It's an open system. We don't believe in stuffing the column. So a lot of people will take copper and they'll stuff the column. We don't do that. We keep our column at pretty much a
And what's the
middle.
column? Can you please explain that?
So basically, you have the pot still, and then you want to pull sulfates out of the alcohol. And as it vaporizes, it's going to rise through, and that rise is actually going to give to what we call cuts. So at 145 degrees, for instance, that's when methanol starts to evaporate. That's the first thing you take off, you throw it away. It's basically like nail polish remover. It's not good to drink. Every alcohol has some amount in it. But the rise allows us to take that out and make our cuts. So everything's an open system. There's no full enclosure. So as we heat it up, it's going to come out regardless of what we do. The cooling system, which is going through a shotgun condenser, we maintain obviously the controls on that. We have visuals for watching the water come out, make sure everything continues to move. And we don't leave our station. That's the primary thing. You got to stay there at all times. So we do tend to open the door, not for any reason that we're worried about something actually happening, but it's just, I think it's a nice thing to not have an enclosed area at all times. And outside of that, that's pretty much it. I mean, we're going to have obviously fire extinguishers and the standards of everything that we need to have with us as well. But outside of that, that's pretty much it.
Who will be operating the machines? Do you anticipate to have
I will.
employees, or is it just you?
No employees. It's me and my partner. We're both the owners of the company.
And I understand that from the materials that you gave us, it indicates that you would only be operating on the weekends for
Correct.
distilling and mashing.
Yep.
So during the week, there would be no activity in that
activity.
facility?
Yep. And our entire subdivision area seems to be mostly empty on the weekends anyway.
How about concerns for storage? I'm just doing the math, 81,000 gallons that you could, for 2 years, you're 52 weeks, 30 gallons, so you
Well,
got
yeah,
52 times
I gave
52.
the high end of that realistically, as far as what we can afford. We're probably really only going to be at every other weekend, but I wanted to give you the high end.
Okay.
We have rackable storage. It's basically 4 barrels that sit on each rack, and they can stack 6 high. So our systems are going to be based on, doing the racking for all the barrels. We're going to worry about storage when we really have to worry about storage. But I think realistically, as far as our funding goes and everything, we're going to make it 2 years before we get to that point.
So maybe you have 40,000, maybe you have 80,000.
The goal is for us to start distributing, and then once we start distributing it and creating currency, income, then we'll look at renting another space to do, hopefully in our same subdivision area, although it's been very hard to even find the small space we're working in right now. Find more storage areas so that we could, start putting barrels in another storage area while we're, selling product.
Yeah.
I know this question might be hard to answer, but I mean, you're anticipating that you would be doing 200 to 400 per weekend right now. Do you foresee that quantity may increase in the near future? I mean, I know it's kind of hard. I mean, you're saying maybe 2 years.
Not until funds start coming in.
Okay.
If I'm not selling product, everything's coming out of our paychecks. So I moved here actually to St. John specifically to do this from Illinois. Obviously, the state's way more friendly for doing that sort of thing. But just from a taxation perspective on property and rentals, it was pretty dire looking for us to be able to make enough product to be able to start doing a turnaround in income, if we were to do this in Illinois. So I have a good job, but I don't have that good of a job,
Has the fire department been contacted? I don't know if it's a concern to have, that amount of alcohol in a building, one room, one building, 40 to 80,000 gallons. Have they been contacted, or?
We have not received a response from the fire department.
I have reached out to them before I got down this road because I didn't want to have any kind of hiccups. And the biggest issue is when a town doesn't necessarily know what to expect with it, the concerns of that. The local fire department told me that they didn't really have concerns, but most things were going to come from Lake County realistically, as far as, meeting state regulations, county. As far as the FC or the TTB is concerned, once the product is in a barrel, it is enclosed.
What's TDB?
Tobacco, it is the organization, I'm drawing a blank now what it stands for, but it's the organization that the federal government uses to oversee all alcohol production and liquor sales. So our federal license is under TTB. We already have the preliminary approval for our license. It's taken us 6 months to get there. They have regulations that we can't have more than, I think it's 200 gallons of open alcohol. So what that would be, it would be something that's actually open to the air. Once it's bottled, once it's in a barrel, it's not considered that anymore. Everything we have is not going to be open to the air, because then I have to worry about keeping it clean and things
Right.
like that. But
Yeah,
while
you
we're
want it
making-
in a barrel as soon as possible.
as soon as possible, right. So at the end of the day, we're gonna have, 30 gallons at a time, at any point in time, really, like, going into anything. Theoretically, there could be collection pots for rerun material that we might rerun, but again, that'll be in a stainless steel container and closed, so.
Okay. Are you using St. John water?
I am,
Are you? Okay.
I am. I have to RO it, but I am.
You said the fire department indicated to you that there really have no concerns. Was that in writing, or?
I may have that in writing in an email. I have the people, or the person I talked to, I can go back and find that.
And as far as them sort of suggesting that while they may have no concerns, that the Lake County, I don't know, licensing board or whatnot may have some concerns, was there any attempts on your end to sort of go through that avenue and make sure
Well,
that there are no concerns from
I
them?
didn't with the county, but we did reach out to the state of Indiana, and I would have to go back to my partner who talked to him, but that individual indicated that Indiana wanted to be the next Kentucky, basically. I think they're vying with Kentucky as far as like bringing some manufacturers in, specifically with spirits. There's a lot of distilleries and, located down near the Kentucky area on the Indiana side. So they told us that they would do whatever they could to help us get through all the process as we go through. I can't actually start that process, though, until I have my full federal license, which I'm basically there, but I need to get this step here first before then we complete the federal license, because once the TTB comes in to inspect our facility, it's got to be ready, fully operated, or operating, not operating, but fully set up to operate. Which, we got that started early, because you could be waiting months before they actually show up to look at it and give you the final approval. So I need to do a little bit of construction first with getting our separator in, which again is scheduled for this week, into this week. A little bit of electrical work, which is just moving our control boxes up on the walls. And then basically we're more or less set. Unfortunately, there's a barrel shortage, so I'm waiting almost a year now for barrels that won't come till September. But, we knew this was going to take some time to get through this process, so it is what it is.
We're learning a lot today about distilleries, right? Any other questions from the board for the applicant?
And obviously, no smoking in the facility, in case you guys wondered.
No other questions from the board?
Not at this time.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and move on to public hearing on this special exemption, right, Sergio?
Correct.
Okay, if you can have a seat, we'll just have
Thank
the
you.
public come and speak.
Thank you.
Okay, at this point, we're going to go ahead and open for public comment on 2023-12 special exemption. Anybody from the public that is here to talk about what we just discussed right now with this gentleman? Anybody online, Sergio?
No, there's no.
And nothing was mailed, emailed to us?
Correct, we have
regarding
not
this?
received anything as of 6:30 this evening.
Okay. With no comments, sir, you can come back up. Okay, any other questions from the board for the applicant?
You said there were floor drains?
There were not. We're having them installed.
You're having them installed,
Yep.
okay.
And in doing that too, just so you guys know, we went to your Public Works, Sergio sent me over there, so we talked to them. I understand the water goes to Maryville. but that's a lot of Cherville. So that's a lot of
Wastewater.
why we went through that process. And, you know, again, we're just trying to make sure we're doing all the right things.
Okay, seeing that there's no other questions from the board at this time, I will entertain a motion to approve or deny 2023-12 special exemption, or defer, sorry, 2023-12 special exemption with the applicant, Mr. Wesley Austin.
Madam Chairman, I just want to point a correction. It's a recommendation to the town council for favorable or unfavorable recommend to the town council.
That's correct.
I apologize for that. It's a recommendation for, I'm so sorry, favorable or unfavorable recommendation to the town council.
Or no recommendation.
Or
There
no
are three
recommendation,
options.
that's right.
Is there a fire suppression system in the building already?
There's not.
Was one being added?
No.
Any other questions from the board for the applicant?
Please state again, you spoke to the fire department,
Yeah, we called.
St. John Fire Department?
Yeah, St. John Fire Department, I called, asked them if there was any kind of special requirements, in part because we were interested in whether or not the city or the fire department locally was going to create any kind of concern about fire suppression or anything like that, so we could understand what our cost was actually going to come down to. At that time, the gentleman I was talking to said that there was nothing specific in the statute that they had as far as what they were going to require, that they didn't see that as a necessary issue for the situation. Now I can go back and I can look at my notes and try to find out who that was and send that to you guys. It's totally up to you. No matter what we do, though, I'm pretty sure that once we get built out, we're going to have, fire department's going to come do their inspections as well, so.
And did you say there was a dust fan or dust collection system, or you do not have one?
We do not have a dust collection system. We're going to hand clean that outside for the most part.
How loud is this machine when it's doing? what
Less
it's-
than a neighborhood lawnmower, really. Technically, the mill is like what a farmer uses for like crushing his feed before he feeds his animals. It's only about, that tall, smaller than this podium.
So you're gonna clean it outside, but then what about the dust that it's emitting while it's operating? What,
It's very minimal. It's mostly just in the surrounding area of the structure. So I would say like I couldn't walk to his corner of his desk here and still see anything on the ground. It's all paved, it's all asphalt. Sweep it up if there's anything there that's left over residual, and then I'm gonna pressure wash just to make sure that area stays clean, but
you're
it's
gonna mill
not.
outside or inside?
We milled just outside the garage door. Mainly because we could mill inside. There's a little bit of that dust factor, of course, so it's a little bit nicer to do it outside. So that's generally what we've done in the past.
What are you gonna do in the winter?
It's cold. Rain or shine. Actually, rain will skip. Rain's a problem, but
Well, the dust won't float, it's sitting on the snow.
it's right. It's true.
So when it's operating, would it fill half the room with dust or?
No.
I mean, give us
Again,
an
generally,
idea.
when, let's say on a windy day, if I'm milling, maybe the dust clouds out to about like here from the podium structure. It's a very small operation. It doesn't really do very much. Again, we,
What
Go with
about a
the boom.
non-windy day? How big of a?
I mean, half the size, I would say. It's really not very much.
I just feel like this is a little uncharted territory for us, so we're trying to do
Understood.
our due diligence. I'm not,
Would it make any difference? I know the variance is a variance, but like for somebody to come by when we are operating, just to kind of see how it works? I mean, I don't have it right here now to do, but, I mean, I don't know if I could try and find a way to demonstrate it. It's pretty basic.
I understand the system. I just, am more concerned about like, any, potential hazards that might impose. I'm not crazy about the idea of it not having a fire suppression system. I do think you guys are capable, know what you're doing. I don't sense any, I don't feel like I have any question as to your guys' ability. It's just more about protecting the surrounding community.
Understood.
And I mean, they can become a volatile situation. So that's where my concern and hesitation lies.
I understand.
Madam Chair, I would also add that the board may impose any reasonable conditions as part of any recommendation it ultimately makes to the town council. So just something to be mindful of in your consideration.
Thank you, Adam.
So how does, Sergio, if there is no recommendation from this board, how does that proceed from there then?
It goes to the town council with no recommendation from the Board of Zoning Appeals. They'll receive minutes and any findings from this commission and from the applicant to the commission, to the council to make a decision.
Which may help in the fact that you can bring your correspondence with the fire department to them directly.
Sure.
Things that we don't have right now. Maybe take a video of what this thing operating actually is.
Sure.
Because dust runoff, fire hazards obviously are hugest concerns.
Right.
But I don't know if the fire department ain't making you put in a fire suppression system, that it's our job to make you do it.
I understand what you're saying.
But I think the questions we have, could be alleviated in another meeting without you going through all of this again.
Sure. I can collect that information together, maybe speak with the state, ask them their recommendations, because they're
I mean, just
obviously
knowing the
approving
questions
this.
we asked,
Yeah.
assume the town council's gonna ask that and more.
Sure.
So maybe that'd be a good time to say, okay, yeah, I did talk to the fire department, no, I did this. Here's
Sure.
exactly what this mill looks like when it's running.
Okay.
Maybe even bring the collection system or give us a better idea of that collection system. I don't want any of this shit going into our public system,
Right.
maybe,
When safety is always a concern, obviously, so, to the extent that you can address some of the safety concerns that were raised in today's meetings, I think that would go a long way. Obviously, we're here to make sure that whatever is being approved is not going to be a hazard to anybody, to the community in general.
Right.
So, to the extent that you can do that, I think that would go a long way.
Okay.
because in general, I love it. Far be it from me. Someone bringing booze to us.
Well, I'll find out what I can get with the state, local fire departments, just because I know that they generally are going to have a lot of recommendations of what they want. I know with TTB, like one of the things we're doing is we raise all of the electrical outlets and everything up to 48 inches or higher. That's because the vapor, let's say you had a catastrophic situation, the vapor's not going to rise above that level. It's going to go down to the floor because it's a heavier
Anything
gas.
in there with pilot lights or anything gas ran?
No, everything we have is elevated, and then we have an office kind of enclosure. We don't use it for office, but we're putting everything behind there that has any kind of potential for sparks. That'd be like a compressor. Like our pumps are all air run, so they're all pneumatic, and those are gonna run
What
on metal
heats
hoses.
Heats the
The grain.
elements.
so.
They're all installed inside the bain marie, so the structure of the mash tun,
Self-contained, there's no.
it's all self-contained. Yeah, yeah.
I think I'd be most comfortable giving no recommendation, not saying yes or no. I mean, like I said, I like it, but I think there's some concerns that we have, and I'm sure the town council have as well, that maybe a little more paper backup and, you know, things like that might help
Sure.
you know, help make everyone feel a little better.
Okay.
If I'm giving no recommendation, do I have to read all this?
Findings of facts? Because it may or may not, we don't know.
It's,
I know you're gonna say yes.
well, so, Mr. Sharon, the findings of fact typically are associated with either a favorable or an unfavorable recommendation. However, I do believe that the findings are necessary to submit to the town council, and so I will ask you to read through that.
Do you want to give a recommendation?
Not really. No, and I want to see you have success too.
Yeah.
We just have some concerns with
I
the dust
expected to
and-
some degree that there would
and
be
the
something.
storage and
Sure.
you're not making gasoline, but you know this stuff can't ignite. And does it ignite? I don't know. I don't know if it does. I don't know if Kentucky has problems. I don't think they do. I don't think I've ever heard, you know, a distillery.
It's not too frequent,
Besides
Yeah.
Jack Daniels.
well, except for that one.
Jack Daniels ignited?
Oh, yeah.
Did they
Yeah, or was it Jim Beam? I don't,
I think it was Jack.
Jack Daniels, right.
recently? or-
Into the river.
A year or two ago?
Yeah. Yeah, they lost one of their rick houses. They said it was still less than 1% of their entire volume, which is ridiculous because it
I
was a
went down
lot
to
of.
Buffalo Trace, there was dust all over the damn place, but that place is huge.
Hmm.
Way bigger than what you got going. All right, well then, I'm going to make a no recommendation to the town council, and that the established maintenance and operation of the inspection assumption will not be detrimental, well, I guess it may be detrimental to or endanger public health, safety, morals, comfort, and general welfare, that the exception may be injurious to the use and enjoyment of the property immediate vicinity for the purposes already permitted, nor sustainable diminish or impair the property value within the neighborhood, that the establishment of the special exemption will not impede the normal and orderly development of improvement of the surrounding property for uses permitted in the district. Adequate measures will be taken to provide ingress and egress so designed as to minimize traffic congestion in public streets, and that adequate utilities, access roads, drainage, and/or necessary facilities will be provided. The adequate measure will, in all the respects, conform to the applicable regulations of the zoning district in which it is located, and that the special exemption shall be required to comply with reasonable time limitations on the commencement and duration of special exemption, as well as the holder of rights to the same.
Okay, Brendan moved for a very fast no recommendation to the town council. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second by by Drago, I'm sorry. Do I have anybody, well, let's do, who's in favor of the no recommendation to the town council? Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, no recommendation to the town council on 2023-12 special exemption. Thank you so much, sir.
When would I be doing my next step as far as this town council? I'll get back with Sergio then.
Yeah, we'll send the certification over to the town council, but they'll probably defer the matter until they receive the approved minutes at the following, at the August meeting, after the August meeting, so.
Yeah, if you want to order a field trip, I mean, I'm in.
Yeah,
Check this show out.
with samples. Right? Anybody from the public?
Okay, at this point.
Good luck.
At this time, we're going to move on to item 6, new and old business, public hearing notices. Review proposed public hearing notice signs, presented by Sergio.
So, yes, staff has been talking internally. When I say staff, we've been also coordinating with Public Works. Currently, when a notice goes out, a sign goes out to the public, notifying them of a public hearing. The practice has been to put it on a 4x5 or 4x4 plywood sign. The applicant comes in to Public Works, picks it up. Public Works prepares the sign by painting numbers or printing out numbers or the information and putting it on the sign. And then that board is posted on site. And so it's becoming cumbersome and expensive in the sense that it's now, these boards are limited and they're requiring to go through some maintenance. And in collaboration with the Public Works Department and previous practice of other communities or nearby communities, what we're proposing is that we move towards the yard signs that can easily be located hopefully near or more closer to the right-of-ways or easily visible during entrances. We can put multiple signs up and notifying when a public hearing is going to take place. And so if you have your computers on, maybe you can see what we're proposing. Essentially what it is it's a laminate form type of sign that's about 2 by 3 feet or 2 by 2.5 feet. Essentially we write on it the information and we post it on as a yard sign. Other communities have been practicing this for years and it seems to work. And so what we're proposing is that we move forward and notifying the signs. For example, the one that would typically affect this board would be, we would check the line that says variance. On there we would write the type of variance and then the location and the time, or the date and the time of the meeting itself. So that's kind of the direction we're looking for, and we're hoping that the board feels the same and supports it through some kind of consensus.
Is it cheaper than what we've been doing?
Yes.
I'm
And
cool with it.
it actually also gives better control to the staff on how many signs are going out and who gets the signs, rather than, because in the past we've had signs gone missing or signs don't get returned. Typically Public Works goes out there and then physically takes these signs, put them in the back of the pickup truck, or sometimes an applicant doesn't have a pickup truck and they go pick up a sign and they throw it in the back of their BMW, and they're kind of upset about that. So
Would you need more than one sign for, if they're smaller, do you just do one or do you need a couple?
typically it depends on the size of the lot. If it's a corner lot, we usually will issue out 2 and say make sure you cover both corners, or move it closer to where it can be seen. Obviously, so it's not covered by vegetation. Plus, the colors kind of stand out as well. So,
Do we have to make a motion for this, or how do I do this?
I would assume it's more of a consensus.
Well, so the rules and regulations of the Board of Zoning Appeals provides that for applications that require notice, the notice shall be on a form approved by the board. So I think it would be appropriate to consider a motion and a vote to approve the sign if the board is inclined to do that this evening. That way, there would be a record showing
Call for
that
motion.
the board's approved notice, form of notice.
Okay. Do you have any questions for Sergio from the board?
No.
Hearing none, we will entertain a motion for approval or not approval of this sign.
I'll make a motion to approve the new public hearing notice signs.
We have a motion for approval made by Brendan. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Bob. Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody not in favor? Motion carries.
Thank you. We'll present the same thing to the Plan Commission at their regular scheduled meeting, and hopefully we'll move forward with these types of signs.
Do you have anything else? That's it, right, Sergio?
Just public.
Oh, public comment. I'm so sorry. At this point, we're going to move on to public comment. Anybody from the public here today that wishes to speak? Hello, sir.
Yeah, Michael Bovat is my name. I live at 9291 West 103rd Place, and just wanted to have an opportunity to speak to the BZA Council. I know that it's been deferred, but the special exception for a tobacco vape shop seems to have stirred up a hornet's nest in the gates of St. John. I've had neighbors come by speaking to me, received text, phone calls, Just to make you aware, there is strong opposition to having a tobacco vape shop in the gates, and especially on 231. And we know that right now it's not zoned for that, and we're just asking that the board would keep it so, and realize that the citizens and the residents are strongly opposed to that. So, thank you. Any questions for me? No. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for your comment.
You have it.
Anybody else? Sir?
My name is Tim Botts. I live at 9180 West 107th Place, and I'm also concerned about the vape shop. And I was wondering if there's any restrictions or any code set up as to how far, or if there's anything, how far away from that preschool that they cannot have a vape shop. Because I thought there was some restrictions about how far from the daycare the liquor store could be. And to me, when they built that liquor store, it did not meet those restrictions, if there are any.
Yeah, there definitely is, because we shot one down on 93rd that was too close to SJE.
Correct,
Right?
yes.
So, I mean, I'm with you 100%, but but there is. I don't know exactly the distance, but
No, and the property owner needs to contact the state regulations on that, so.
I don't think you're going to have anything to worry
Yeah.
about.
Pardon me?
I think, yeah, I'm sure there is. We'll
Okay, are they within the restrictions or not?
I think.
So we would have to entertain that at the next public meeting, when they actually officially file or meet the requirements. But we would advise them to contact the state to make sure they meet those requirements. So I have a note here to contact them to investigate the state statute regarding these types of uses within a proximity of a school or preschool.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you, sir. Anybody else from the public that wishes to speak today? Going once, going twice? Okay, public hearing is now closed. Public comment is now closed, I should say. And at this point, I think we don't have anything else, so I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.